Back in 1997, the owner and creator of Apple, Steve Jobs, came out with a marketing and advertising campaign that was simply called Think Different. This was a huge campaign that spanned for years. When I was younger and heard this statement, I truly took it to heart. It was something that literally changed my life from that point forward. Now, shortly after I heard this Think Different campaign, I actually heard about someone else that would sit there for an hour or two every single day in their favorite chair and simply just think. Taking the time out of your day every single day for an hour or so just to think is thinking differently. No one is doing that these days. Think about this. When was the last time you blocked off time in your calendar to just sit for an hour and think? Bet you probably wasn't very much. Not many people do this, but in the past few years, this has actually been my norm, and it has drastically changed my business and my life for the better. I block off 90 minutes every single morning to just sit and think. And I think with a journal at hand on the computer, because I do everything digitally, and I use a program called Obsidian, and I have my morning pages open, and while I'm sitting there with my morning pages, any thoughts that come to my head, I jot down. And this is the very first thing that I do in the morning once I get my cup of coffee and, get everything ready to go. I sit down and I think for 90 minutes. It is literally the first thing on my task list. And I think about a lot of different topics. I think about business. I think about social life. I think about my personal relationships with my family and with my friends. I try to think about a lot of different topics, not typically just one in particular. Now, a lot of topics that get brought up, of course, are business topics. I am heavily into business. I run and help run multiple businesses. So business is really on my mind, 24/7 pretty much. So when I sit to think and I'm thinking about business, I try to think about business in a different way. I'm not interested in following the marketing, advice of gurus nowadays or trying to make it big on any social platform or anything like that. I try to think about business in a different way, something that is not the norm. And I don't think about marketing tactics either. I think about long-term goals and strategies that will end up helping my business grow in the long run by helping enough other people. Relationship building and helping my audience even before money changed hands is a thought that I have all the time. I do not want to be one of those gurus that from an ad will send you to a landing page and promise you that you will get something of value if and only if you provide your name and email address, right? That is not cool with me. That is what 99% of marketers out there are doing today, and it irks the bejesus out of me. The prospect here is being unjustly manipulated and coerced into giving them their contact information with a promise that the person is going to get something of value, right? The way I see it, the prospect is taking all the risk here. I promise I'll give you this free PDF or this free report or free mini course if you give me your email address, like that type of thing. Instead, I think differently. And instead of putting together a landing page that says, if you give me your information, then I'll give you content, what I do is the reverse. I give them content first. All the stuff that a person might have in a free PDF or free mini course, I give for free. Here's a landing page and here's all the information, right? And that page may last 5, 6, 7 pages of actual content. Just a ton of valuable information. At the end of that, I might ask for their email address and, with something simple as, hey, if you want to get more content like this, sign up here. But I did it first. I gave them the value first, right? This is thinking differently. This is something that most people are not doing these days, right? But it's something that needs to change. And business is only a portion of what I go through every day when I sit and think. Family life is huge to me. My diet, my workouts, all of this stuff is very, very important to me. So I sit and think about it. And I try to think differently about different things. Take my diet, for example, right? Most people would think that eating vegetables, eating fruit, some meat, some carbohydrates, healthy fats, all that stuff is good for you. And that's the way most people will take a good, healthy diet. But I thought differently. And I thought, well, what is actually causing me a lot of my health problems? And the first thing that came to my mind, the last thing that came to my mind, pretty much everything was food. Right? Food is what's causing a lot of my health problems. So I went on this rampage of research trying to find anything that could help me. And a particular diet came up called the carnivore diet, which I highly recommend to people. The carnivore diet was intriguing to me because the only thing on it is meat, right? I love meat. So at first I was like, this is not going to be any problem. But the reason I did it was because of something an article said, and the article was talking about how the carnivore could be a baseline. So you strip everything out of your diet except for beef, right? Once you have just beef, and it's pretty much just beef and salt, let's say I'll have a steak, a really nice, 1 pound or even maybe 2 1-pound ribeyes. And that's all you eat for a while. Well, what this does is it sets a baseline. So then when you start incorporating another, food into your diet, you can see how your body reacts, right? This is, thinking completely outside of the box of what the normal person would think and consider. They would never consider, oh, I'm just going to eat meat. My doctor says that meat is not good, right? But you got to think a little bit differently. And that's what we're really talking about here, is trying to think outside of the box of your constraints, of what everybody says, this is what you have to do. I also try to think differently about my relationships with my wife and with my children, right? This is something that is incredibly important to me. Had it not been for sitting and thinking for an hour or two every single day, I probably would not still be married to the woman of my dreams, all right? My first love and only love. I would not be married to her if I hadn't started this practice. I'm able to sit and think about different challenges that we have. If we're having some sort of communication issue, I can sit and think outside of the box and figure out different ways to have a better connection and better communication with her so that our marriage is even better. When I sit and think, I also try to think about how I can relate two different things that may or may not have any sort of correlation together. Give you an example. Let's think about a genius and a flashlight. Okay, a genius, we can sit and think, what is a genius? Well, to me, a genius is someone that can look at a certain situation or thing similar to a normal person, but because they have so much stored in their head, they can relate it to other things, figure out certain solutions, and figure out problems to that a normal person wouldn't be able to come up with. That is because they have a lot more to go off of. Now let's take a flashlight. What does a flashlight have to do with the genius? Well, maybe a flashlight is metaphorical. Maybe that flashlight is their searchlight in their head that when they see something, that searchlight goes off and it scans all these different things that they know about and can figure out that solution. Whereas, their searchlight is a huge floodlight. The average person is maybe, the little light on their phone or something like that, right? Their flashlight is much greater. So here's two different things that may not have been connected in some way first. Now it is. When you understand the importance of sitting and thinking, it will change your world. It will change your life. It will change your businesses. It will change you. When you sit and think, and also try to think about, again, two other unrelated things, how they can work together and be combined and linked in some way, that can help you greatly. I actually use a couple of programs that I do this with, and in my next video, I'm actually going to cover what I use and how I use it, and a myriad of details about how I sit and think and how I get such results in my business and in my life due to it. So if you like this video, if you want to catch the next video, please go ahead, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Take care. Peace.